You are now watching Main Wire TV with your host, Tom Shattuck, featuring Main Wire Editor-in-Chief Steve Robinson and the indispensable John Featherston.
Man, there's a lot of action today. Always welcome to, great to see John Featherston. It's Steve Robinson, all of the Main Wire. Nick Blanchard, you know him as the man of the day with the most viral video, certainly in the Northeast and maybe national at this point, who was last night. It was at the RSU 19 school board meeting, and things got loud. We can throw to that, Matt.
I can't hear anybody if you guys can hear me.
We got to turn his headphones on. You can go ahead and play the video, Matt.
My name is Grace Voss. I'm from Newport. I go to the school. I'm in 8th grade. I would like to give my perspective on the current situation involving the bullying towards a transgender student from the student. The student and others have, others like the family, other people online, they've been having a giant discussion about this online and saying his First Amendment rights have been violated because he received a punishment for harassing another student.
You didn't talk to him, did he? Making crap up now.
That's not what happened.
Go ahead, keep making it up.
Were you there?
I read the paperwork from the school.
This is what we're dealing with. Actually, we said.
Imagine talking about a child online as adults.
Excuse me.
You just mentioned no transgender kid.
Thank you.
Somebody had a screenshot. It was never about the transgender kid. Yeah, screenshot. Show me. Show me.
Ryan, did that kid bully you? Did he bully you? He did.
He didn't say it.
The conversation was over.
It wasn't a conversation. He came up with it.
Oh, then why is it not in the paper?
Were you there?
You overheard.
So it is very rare that at some point during a school board meeting that somebody asks a victim in the audience if he was bullied, but that's precisely what happened. I mean, this thing was total chaos. So, Steve, are you able to kind of tell us the origin of this? Because this has been an ongoing story. The Main Wire has had this for months now.
Yeah, Seamus Authot has filed a report that I thought was very respectful of the entire situation and the people involved. So I'm not sure how this Snapchat began circulating saying that the Main Wire was targeting or bullying anyone. But as Seamus reported, there was a student who made a comment about the Title IX investigation into the school district, and as a result of that was overheard, and a counselor ended up suspending them or getting them suspended or in some way punished. And so it seemed like this weird Orwellian thing where it's like the genderqueer version of Big Brother sitting over your shoulder waiting for you to speak some heresy, and then you're going to be suspended from school. And that incident happens within the broader context of this entire fight over the executive order that President Trump issued saying that this is how sex-based rights are going to be protected under Title IX when it comes to schools, scholastic sports, and the school districts in Maine are now facing a choice as to whether they're going to adopt and adhere to that interpretation of the rules themselves, which is a reality-based interpretation, or are they going to stick with the Mills administration, stick with the progressive gender ideology line? And so that, I think, is the kind of the precipitating event and the broader context for this. And then, of course, the once some attention lands on social media about a board meeting, then there's going to be a clown show.
So, yeah, so this is an attempt to subvert Trump's Title IX executive order, really just protecting women. This is exactly why Title IX was created, but we're noticing schools are freelancing and doing activism their own way, like they did with everything else, like they're doing with immigration. Nick Blanchard, the young lady in the video that we just played, and welcome to Mainwire TV, the young lady we just played, what was her, who's she, what's her issue, and what was she lying about?
So, from my understanding, I believe she was standing in front of Carter when Carter was talking to his friend and made the comment that he made. I believe she was the one that overheard the statement.
Okay, all right. So she's the informer. She's the person who carries this on and starts all the trouble, essentially.
From my understanding, yes.
Okay. And so what is the big bone of contention? What's this battle? If you were to tell somebody, because you're there in person when this chaos is happening, what's this battle about specifically?
So I was messaged by the guardians of Carter, and they explained the situation to me. That was the reason why we were going to that school board meeting. I don't know where the mom and this young lady and everyone else got the assumption that we were going to target the transgender student that is on the middle school cheerleading squad, the reason why Trump is suing that district. But they tried to say that we were there to harass that student when we weren't there. That wasn't even why we were there. The only time that student actually got mentioned was when me and the parents of Carter did a live feed on Facebook the other day, and we were talking about the situation, and I asked if there was any transgender students, and that was the only time that that student was brought up. I never posted about coming to protest about that. We were there to show our support for Carter because he was simply having a conversation with another friend about Title IX and was issued an ISS for 3 days because of it. And the crazy part is they didn't throw him in an ISS right away. He went to school for an entire week, then went on school vacation for another 2 weeks, then comes back and gets disciplined.
Are you surprised? I mean, you've gone to tons of city council meetings and tons of school board meetings. Are you surprised that it's always turned around so quickly, that you're suddenly bullying somebody, you're harassing somebody, that when you guys raise concerns, it's always that you guys are terrorizing somebody, Nick?
I'm kind of used to it, but it's getting to the point to where you can't deny it anymore. I mean, this is the second school board meeting where I've been assaulted at. I've been assaulted 4 times in the past 6 months. And literally, this is from the party of peace, love, and acceptance.
Yeah, I guess my question would be more about the tactics, because as your angle here, I would assume, is to have the school boards adopt rational, science-based protections for sex-based rights in line with President Trump's executive order on Title IX. But do you think that the controversy and the conflict and screaming back, matching the crazy that comes at you, is effective at advancing those reforms? Are there any results that you can point to where that has been successful?
So where I think my tactics are successful is exposing what's going on. Do I bring change? No. But at the same time, when we went to these school board meetings during COVID, and we did it the right way, we stood up there, we were polite, we gave our 3-minute speech, we gave them peer-reviewed studies on how these masks were hurting our kids. And what did these school boards do across the state? The same thing they're doing with Title IX and all this other nonsense. They roll their eyes and they vote whatever way they want to vote. So what I think I accomplish is that I think I bring attention to what's going on. I think I make parents pay attention, and hopefully they will bring change. My goal is to bring attention to matters.
I guess the reason I ask is because I've heard from people who would agree with you, Nick, 100% on what the school policy should be, but they're worried that you're alienating independent voters and even conservative people and galvanizing the left because it allows them to create a caricature or a stereotype of what conservative opposition is. I kind of looking at the screen right now, I see another man who's found himself in the controversy, John Featherston, who has a somewhat different demeanor, but manages to come across in a more effective way. So I wonder if you've contemplated at all the ability to generate the same level of attention that you're generating, which you've certainly been successful at, but not at the same risk of alienating people who otherwise would agree with you about the policies you're advocating.
Well, I mean, to them, I would say, you know what? Come and show me how it's done. You know, that's one thing that bothers me is I'm so tired. I'm so tired of people that sit at home that don't go to these board meetings that are trying to tell me how I should act and how my demeanor should be in these board meetings. What I say to that is, you know what? You go to these board meetings month after spending all day at work, not even getting to eat before you go to these board meetings, to get up there to speak, to have them just completely ignore you or shut you down month after month. If you're not frustrated, then you're not fighting for your kids.
You know, it's funny, Nick. I think Steve makes a really good point. You know, that maybe there's a different tack that you can take, and that John takes a different tack as well. At the same time, I will say that I'm a father of a 15-year-old daughter, and there's part of me that just wants to go back to how things would have been 15 years ago and say, "Hey, dude, get the fuck out of the girls' room. Get out of the locker room. Just get the dude out of here. At a time when everything made sense." I mean, this is, and I think that's part of your frustration, Nick, and it's my frustration. This is craziness. Like, everybody knows this is craziness, and these people are playing an absolutely insane game. So I don't know. I don't know how I'd act if I was up there, man. But I don't know. Featherston, how do you keep it together?
Well, I mean, Nick and I do have different styles, but you know, sometimes I agree, Nick. Sometimes you got to kick over the cart and everything like that. But where I worry, and I think I'm on the same wavelength as Steve, one, I worry about your personal safety. I mean, being assaulted 4 times in the last 6 months is a dangerous situation.
Yeah, that's Rich. That's Rich coming from John Featherston, who's hanging out, picking fights with like Somali gun traffickers on a daily basis. But sorry to interrupt.
No, but you know, one, I worry about your personal safety, but then I also do worry that, you know, the school, if you're pushing a string uphill because you're dealing with crazy people, you shouldn't have to tell people, like Tom is saying, that boys don't belong in girls' locker rooms. You know, like you should not be teaching gender, you know, changing gender of little boys and little girls in school. You should just not be doing that. So it's like President Trump said during the State of the Union address, these people are crazy. So you can't change crazy by being crazy. You have to kind of kill them with facts. And and God bless you for, having the courage to do what you do, but maybe more facts would be more beneficial.
I'll just say too, I think Nick, you make a good point about, it's easy for people to sit in the peanut gallery and criticize people who are actually in the arena. That's a totally fair point to make. But I guess what I would say is, like, do you think you're going to persuade these school board members? You went through the COVID experience. You've seen how they feel about gender ideology, and wouldn't a more strategic perspective be working to build a ground game of persuasion for voters, finding other candidates? Isn't that a fair criticism? If you're admitting that you're not bringing change or results, wouldn't that be something that would cause you to recalibrate your strategy and focus on that rather than viral videos?
Well, I think by bringing attention to something, I think that's what brings the change. What I mean by I don't think by me going to a school board meeting and having people stripped that made them change their mind. But what it did is it put them in an uncomfortable position, and now they're in the news, which will make them think about how they vote about it next time. Where my rebuttal to what you guys are saying about my tactics, I tried what you guys are saying during COVID. I went to meeting after meeting during COVID, spoke, did exactly what you guys are trying to say, and what happened? They completely brushed us off. They didn't care what we had to say.
Yep.
And they still masked our kids. That's why I think matching I wouldn't say I match their crazy, but kind of putting these people in the spotlight. And I honestly think I kind of do it. I think I get to that line, but I don't cross it.
Yeah, I'll also say that the the passion in getting in your face and yelling and threatening to kill you, and sometimes going on a shooting spree lies with the blue hair nose ring crowd right now. So, you know, they've got us outmatched with that. So maybe we should be grateful that Nick's out there doing the work. So where are you off to tonight, Nick?
I'm going to the Augusta School Board. This will be the first school board meeting since my federal lawsuit was filed. Also, since they've been kicked out of city chambers. Also, since James Orr was sent that message from Miss Muffy. I don't know if they're going to try to silence him tonight, but I plan on getting there a little early so I can collect signatures for my school board race. And yeah, that's the plan for tonight. Hopefully tonight goes a lot smoother than last night. I don't think what happened last night, I've never seen at a school board meeting. Just one thing I want to point out.
Yeah.
Just think about the storylines that would have been all over the news this morning if that was me on that stage screaming the way she was. Think about that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been kicked out of meetings and threatened with police just because of what I said. Not because I was on stage screaming, pointing, acting a lunatic. Never mind, you know, will this woman and her son, or really the woman because the son goes there, will this woman be allowed to come to another school board meeting? I bet you if I did that, I'd be banned from ever going to that school board meeting ever again. Just like Nick, when I got assaulted by that lawyer.
Nick, have you considered using Maine's new red flag law?
No, because you know what? As much as I don't agree with it, I wouldn't want that used on me. And I think it's very unconstitutional. And if I think it's unconstitutional, I'm not going to use it against somebody else.
Here we go. All right. We'll check back in tonight on your social media, Nick Blanchard. And we'll discuss this week just whose bounty is higher, Nick Blanchard's or John Featherston's. We want to take them out.
Man, you guys have a good night. Godspeed and God bless.
Be safe, Nick.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nick.
All right, let's move on here. Steve today visited an Augusta home care nest, another more unbelievable number, Steve. Like, this is almost, it's almost getting counterproductive to keep going out there when you keep hitting pay dirt. You know, at some point we need to put the data, everything together and break it down, but it keeps happening and you guys keep finding it. And this time it's $10 million in 5 years. That this particular, well, I guess it's the one business that billed for 10 or 9 million, right? And then there's 3. Can you tell us what you found?
Yeah, so I've got the numbers that I got from the state through a Freedom of Access Act request are a little bit different from the numbers that I got from the federal government that were posted online a couple of weeks ago. So here's the specific breakdown of this particular healthcare facility, which is in Augusta. And as you can, standing outside of it, you can see the Blaine House. This is right in the heart of Augusta, but it's basically a 2-room office suite. And I was there with our producer, Matt, and I was met at the door by Qasim, who is the owner. A man of few words, I will say, but he beckoned me in. And I spoke with his general manager, who was a Mainer, very obviously, and learned a little bit about this business. The reason I was there is because if you look at the federal Medicaid data, it is clearly an outlier. This is a Maine care business that has had extraordinary success, hockey stick growth in terms of its profitability. We're talking, going from in August of 2020, it had just 13 clients and was billing $47,000 a month. And then eventually by November of 2024, they have 92 beneficiaries and they're billing almost $500,000 a month, about a 10-fold increase in their monthly revenue over a 4-year period. They've gone from billing $3,000 to $3,500 per patient to now billing over $6,000 per patient. So if the math works out to these guys are provide for every patient that they have, these guys are providing, if you believe the numbers, over 6 hours of care per day as a personal home care agency, providing personal support services, which is like, helping you shop, do dishes, bathe, whatever, the tasks of daily living. So each one of their clients is getting essentially a full day assistant, which would be unusual within the personal support services world. We even found, in fact, that they billed at this rate for Thanksgiving in November of 2024. All of their employees and all of their clients consumed a full 6 hours of personal support services the day of Thanksgiving. So here's how this facility stacks up against the national numbers. National cost per patient for this billing code, which is T1019, is $2,000 per patient. Kennebec Home Care, $6,084. National hours per patient per month is roughly 69 hours, about 2.3 hours per day for a patient. Kennebec Home Care, 190 hours. That's 6.3 hours every day of the week is what they're providing to their clients. And the national cost per submitted claim is $111 for this exact service. For Kennebec Home Care, it's $1,204, so nearly 10 times the national average. So almost every way you slice this data, this little 2-room office home care agency on Sewell Street, operated by Qasim Sase, is an outlier. There's a number of red flags here, and we learned today from the office manager that they are currently in the middle of a state audit. I don't know, Graham, if we have the video to play, but we can key up the video because we had some questions for the general manager, and despite her claiming credit for the rapid success and hockey stick growth and revenue, she seemed not to really understand much about how the business was operating. And unfortunately, I feel bad for her. I think she might be a patsy here in this situation.
Mm.
We're here at 69 Sewell Street, right in the middle of Augusta. I can see the State House. I can see the Blaine House from where I am. And the reason we're here is that this is actually the location of one of the most successful businesses in Augusta. Just talk about a hockey stick graph of revenue flowing into this business. I didn't realize I was going to repeat myself over and over again here, but run by Qasim Sasa of South Portland. In 2020, they billed $397,000. By 2020, they were billing $4.36 million, just according to state Medicaid records. So we want to go say hi and see what's their secret to success here in Maine Care. So I just wanted to do an interview with you guys about your Maine Care business, because from the Maine Care data that the federal government released, you guys are one of the most successful in the entire state.
Try hard.
Yeah?
He's not going to talk to you. I'm the manager.
Oh, okay. Why doesn't he want to talk to me?
Because we're in the middle of a massive audit.
Oh, okay.
And we're
Really?
trying to get it done.
Oh, is that a state audit or a federal audit?
State.
State audit. Okay.
I
see that in 2020 you guys were like under $500,000 billing.
Mm-hmm.
By 2024, you guys are up to like 4.4 million. So what was the secret to that growth? 5 million?
Me.
Oh, you were the secret to the growth. Okay. It wasn't a growth in clients or a policy change or anything, or added Medicaid enrollment. What was the secret sauce?
Just continue to grow.
Okay.
In terms of good service to the people that we take care of, and employees very well.
And how many clients do you guys have?
I have no idea off the top of my head.
Is it like dozens or hundreds?
Again, I don't know.
You don't
off
know.
the top of my head.
Okay. What about employees? Do you know how many clients you guys have? No. Okay.
Like I said, we're in the middle of a big audit.
Yeah. I guess that'd be something that the audit will find, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have files everywhere. We're just trying to get it done. We don't hire anybody illegal.
Okay.
We don't do anything fraudulent. Everything we do is above board.
But you can't estimate how many clients you have or employees.
Because it changes constantly.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. I have a supervisor that works with me. She could come back today after being in Lewiston and Augusta and Waterville, and I could have 4 more employees.
Okay. All right. Yeah, well, we're just interested because Medicaid and especially personal care services have been in the news lately, and the release of the federal payment data. You can look and see which businesses have had hockey stick growth. But if you're the secret sauce, that would explain it. Yeah, that would explain it. Well, good luck with that. Good luck with that audit. Okay. I wish you the best of luck, man. Thank you for talking with us. Nice. Can you see?
So
I think we
can pause it there, man.
Cut it there. Yeah.
Fed,
I have so many questions.
You reminded me of one of the feds talking to people who are at January 6th, just in a friendly conversational way, and they had no idea that they were about to be in Alcatraz.
I mean, very quickly, I realized I was like, oh, this poor woman.
Yeah.
I think she has control of payroll, but maybe doesn't have full oversight of the business. At one point in time, she said something along the lines of she was quarreling with the state and federal data that's been released with regard to their payments. She said that information was inaccurate. So I tend to believe that the federal government has pretty good numbers on the amount of main care reimbursement that have flowed to the state and to each business, to each MPI number. The data set looks pretty good. I haven't heard any other Medicaid providers saying that the data is inaccurate. It's the first time I've heard someone make that claim. So I'm wondering about how this audit's going to go for them. I have some guesses, but it's interesting that all of a sudden it appears, at least, the Mills administration may be stepping up their scrutiny of some of these personal home care agencies, because we know after John and I visited the clusters on Bishop Street in Portland, a bunch of those like 11 of those offices received letters asking for a list of clients, a list of employees, and leases on their office spaces. So it looks like the gold standard of Medicaid integrity that Janet Mills claims has been, in play since she took office and expanded Medicaid. Well, not really. It looks like she's being politically reactive because we've exposed a problem, and she's unwilling to admit that we've exposed a problem that she's now scrambling to at least create a picture of having addressed. And you can bet that if HSI raids any more facilities like they've done earlier this week with bright future healthier you, she's going to take credit for it. Her hard-nosed anti-fraud policies are what's prompting it. But yeah, dang, I would say Kennebec Home Care they're going to have a tough time with that audit if the person who's the secret sauce for their growth from $500,000 in annual revenue to $4 something million in annual revenue over a 5-year period, if that person doesn't know how many clients or employees they have, it's not a great look. And I did ask her at one point, it's like, geez, if you're such a brilliant businesswoman, I'm surprised other home care agencies haven't tried to hire you away. They have, apparently, but Qasim treats her very well, so she's there to stay. She's a loyal employee.
Well, it should be a red flag to any auditor in the state. She doesn't know how many employees she has. She might get 4 more tomorrow. She might get 4 this afternoon. So how do you know that they're billing properly if you don't even know who they are? And 2, what quality of care do you have as oversight of your clients if you don't even know who your employees are? I mean, that's a huge red flag that I think she inadvertently let out. I don't even know who my employees are. I don't even know when they start, when they get trained. I mean, isn't that scary?
Yeah, there are some deeper issues, John, that you put your finger on there with our genius business strategist here. One of them is that employees are required to have background checks and also undergo a state training course before you can bill in their names, and looking over the notices of violations that have been served to other home care agencies. You can see that one of the frequent areas where some of these companies, most of them run by new Mainers, bump up against the rules is trying to bill in the names of employees who haven't had background checks or haven't gone through training services. In fact, there's one case of a home care provider operating out of 75 Bishop, that building with the blue walls that we were in, where there's 12 of these agencies, and in some of the audit paperwork, you can see that this owner claimed to have run the background checks before billing for the employees, but the auditors could see when he ran the background checks, and he ran the background checks while he was on the phone getting a desk inspection. So he lied to the Department of Health and Human Services in order to get his billing passed through, but not his ability to bill Medicaid not taken away. So sadly, what we saw there is pretty much reflective of everything we've seen with the home care agencies that we've visited. And the numbers, the numbers don't lie. They're billing 10 times per claim what the national average is. And that national average, by the way, includes other states like Minnesota and Ohio, where they've had a similar epidemic of, let's say, improper payments or explosive growth in personal care services, personal support services.
So I would also say her whole demeanor reminds me of, in Boston, there was the cheese man, Carmen D'Annunzio, who was
yes.
Call me the cheese man.
Right, and he ran a cheese shop, and there were employees at that cheese shop who believed that they were in the cheese business.
Yes, that is a very appropriate metaphor.
So I will say I'm happy that like the people were in the office. So there's a first victory. I mean, the place was staffed. There was
that's true. That's true. And the really funny irony here is that probably 20 feet from where we were, Governor Paul LePage has his CD2 campaign office. It was an odd juxtaposition. The guy who was one of the biggest welfare reformers in the history of the state of Maine, probably the biggest welfare reformer in the state's history, who also opposed the radical expansion of Medicaid eligibility and the expansion of Medicaid to non-citizens, and had that, obviously everything that he predicted about Medicaid expansion has come true, the negative consequences of it, and it's right there, within, a stone's throw of his campaign office, and, within eyesight of the Blaine House.
Yeah.
But geez, that state audit, it's a good thing that it's a state audit and not a federal audit, because from what John and I have seen out on the streets is that the federal audits usually come with HSI coming through and seizing some computers and some paperwork, but the state audits generally just get placed in a folder and tucked under a desk to collect dust while you continue to collect, $5 or $6 million a year. So my advice to her would be not to sweat the state audits so much, because in our experience, those don't amount to much under Janet Mills.
So I have a couple questions on the businesses, Steve. So this Kennebunk was the big that's the big earner in the building, right?
Yes.
But there are other businesses who made, like, one made $1 million, I think, or maybe each under, and then the others didn't seem to make much at all. So what's the disparity? Why isn't everybody just getting, or these other ones shells, or?
Yeah, so there's a limit on what we can see in the data, because the the Medicaid payment data we have, both from the state and from the federal government, only goes through the end of 2024. So both the state accounts and the federal accounts have to be reconciled, and then as they prepare the data to be released, that takes some time, and they don't release an incomplete year. So we don't even know what they billed for 2025, which would, the last year, obviously. Looking at the trajectory for all of these Medicaid companies, we can make a safe assumption that they billed more in 2025 than they did in 2024. If that's the case, then what we were just looking at was a $15 million business over the last 5 years. So we're looking at a limited time frame of billing data. But what we can see is in the MPI data, the national provider data, where you're registered and there's a number that's associated with your Medicaid billing, we can see when these companies have been spun up. For example, in some of the buildings around Lewiston, we can see where there's 140 NPI numbers, businesses that have been spun up and are prepared to bill Medicaid, but we don't have the dollar amounts that they've billed in 2025 or in are billing currently in 2026. But just those 140, those are the ones with Minnesota phone numbers.
Yeah.
But there's not this eye-watering dollar amount you can associate with it, because you can kind of see the LLCs forming. You can see the plans being laid to expand the Medicaid hustle out of a given hive or cluster, but you don't see the massive number. So that's what explains it. Is obviously, I mean, if you've got our lady, Miss Patsy, behind the desk there, who's just printing money for you, $5 million a year, why wouldn't you open up a second one? Why wouldn't you open up a third one and a fourth one?
Franchise.
As I say, they obviously they've figured out a recipe to print money, and judging by the very nice sports cars that are coming in and out of that parking lot on a regular basis, they're spreading the money around, baby. So why wouldn't you expand a business like that?
Yeah, amazing. All right, so should we move on to John's Day in Lewiston?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, John, you made, let's see, I wouldn't say you made friends, but you made
I made some more enemies. Yeah.
No, actually, I will chime in here, because I was with John for a little bit in Lewiston today, and I will say, just a beloved figure. We're sitting in a parking lot having a conversation, and some woman pulls up, and I think we're about to be harassed and antagonized. They ask, are you with the main wire? Yes. And the woman just politely asks, could you get them to do something about the potholes around Lewiston? I got driving this car, and I'm like swerving these potholes. Like, I'm doing a lot of damage to my vehicle. Yes, thank you. You're right. We should maybe report on the infrastructure and potholes here in the city. But getting honks and toots from people who, I don't want to, profile, but I would say that these are people you might assume would be enemies or critics of Mr. Featherston, but not the case at all. Lots of smiles and thumbs up, lots of friends there. So I would say that Mr. Featherston's critics may be fierce and loud and making scenes on social media, but just a broadly beloved figure in the city of Lewiston. I'm serious. If John Featherston ran for mayor right now in Lewiston, 70% of the vote. Shalene Shellacked would be the headline easily. I think maybe even a majority of the votes from the Somali areas of Lewiston as well.
So what happened today, John?
Well, as Steve said, I met up with Steve. We're working on still another investigative reporting thing that we're not ready to drop yet, but it'll be big, trust me. So I say goodbye to Steve, and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go do X, Y, and Z, and Steve's got to go run his busy day. And 5 minutes after I leave Steve, I drive by the mosque in downtown Lewiston on Bartlett Street, and the place that said, hey, Mears, give the money back, now has a sign. They've changed the wording on the sign, and now it says game on, So I stop and take a picture of the game on picture. But then I find out after I went to send it to you guys that it was kind of changing. So I have to go back and take the picture. But it's a pretty good sign. So I see out of my eye that there's 4 guys standing on the stairs of the mosque filming me. So you know me, I just walk up, I'm on the sidewalk, and I'm like, hey guys, how are you? I see on Monday that the planning board approved in a 6-1 vote for you guys to expand your parking lot and build a bigger part of the building. And the guy's like, I told you don't come here anymore. And I'm like, well, congratulations, you got approved by the planning board. That's a really great thing. And Matt, our producer, has been with me, when he has told us, like, we're not expanding here. We're not doing anything. I mean, that was just last week the guy told us that. And I'm like, guys, I'm not trying to be controversial. I'm like, congratulations, you're expanding. It's a good thing. It should be a good thing. You're not welcome here if you don't come here anymore. And I go, is that a threat? And he goes, yes, it is. And I said, well, I'm allowed to stand on a sidewalk as long as I want. So I'm going to stand on the sidewalk.
Just to be clear, you're standing on public property.
Correct.
Asking questions. Yeah.
Just asking general questions and actually congratulating them on their expansion. So our friend from across the street hears them and when I say, hey, did you just threaten me? And he's like, yes. And then it was game on. It was then him standing in the middle of the street saying, I took a little exception to, hey, don't threaten this old man. F you, don't threaten this man. And I don't know where everybody came from, but 50 people come out of mirrors. Everybody's got cameras going. Everybody's got something going on. And who is leading the pack? Iman Osman leading the pack, coming up. And then, he starts chirping at me, you're targeting Somalis and you're targeting this. And I said, what the hell are you talking about? I'm not targeting anybody. I'm asking somebody about an expansion project, in a mosque. It's a good story, right? And he's like, no, you target the thing. And I said, hey, I'm not the one who was indicted on gun charges. I'm not the one who lied about my address. I'm not the one who brought...
That's a low blow, bringing up somebody's gun charges just because they're threatening you.
And I was like, I said, so Iman, I'm sorry, I'm a reporter. I report news, and you made the news. I just reported it. If that's targeting in your world, then please explain it to me. And next thing you know, the squad car starts showing up because somebody from Mears claimed that the gentleman from across the street had a gun, and then all of a sudden, it was pure chaos. Pure chaos. There were these two ladies that were filming me and who are you? Are you, are you with the main wire? I'm like, who are you? And they're like, you're making enemies in the Somali community. I'm like, please explain to me how I'm asking about an expansion project that got approved by the planning board. I'm not on the planning board, is targeting people. So, I mean, it was, there's no other way to say it was just chaos. And I don't know how many people could fit in the Mears building that came out of the building. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they've got a tunnel system like they discovered in New York City. It is interesting. So many people came out. What is their payroll like? When we went there to try to interview Rowan, it didn't seem like it was a very large building. But what a wild day. I mean. Can we finally get you to stay away from Lewiston for just a little bit?
Oh no! No, we're still working on that other thing, Steve. So yeah.
You forget a flak jacket. We need a tank for John to be driving around.
I mean, I
APC.
Don't know. There's some stuff up in Caribou that you could go investigate too.
But Tom always says it so well. Why is everybody so guarded? I mean, seriously, Matt, our producer, if he can jump on, he can verify it. A week ago, we went to there and said, hey, I'm being told that, you guys are in front of the planning board, and they deny. And there are other critics in Lewiston saying that this should have never been passed by the planning board. And just, cursory, me looking at it and knowing, municipal government the way I do, I kind of agree. The sight lines on expanding this parking lot are not good because there's the sausage factory there that parks its trucks. If you expand that parking lot and don't expand the entrance, you're going to have a traffic nightmare there. And the fact that one of the planning board members on Monday night said, there's some really serious, safety issues here. And just a fact, Shanna Cox, who is the chair of the Chamber of Commerce, has Lewiston Shooting Fund issue questions going on. She just tries to ram this thing through and give it, and like I said, it passed on a 6-1 vote. I think there's potential lawsuits coming forward on that. So, but why wouldn't the mosque want to talk about their expansion? Isn't that a good story? Yeah.
I mean, I've seen plenty of pictures of Lewiston city councilors and state reps, state senators gathered for photos in front of that particular house of worship.
Sure.
It would seem like something you'd have a ribbon cutting for, but you're right that there is this a general attitude of guarded. I think you said guarded is a good way to put it. Maybe they don't want the attention for reasons that don't have anything to do with shyness or humility.
You know, and I have to be careful how I say this because I don't understand the religion. I don't have a good working knowledge of the religion at the mosque, but aren't churches and places of worship supposed to be welcoming to people? Like, isn't that like if you walk up to a place of worship, like shouldn't the usually the word be welcome or how can I assist you or how was your day today? But when you walk up to this place, it's like, you know, you're not welcome because you're from the main wire and you're an old white man. I mean,
I definitely I felt that vibe as well when we have been there to try to interview people in the past and have wondered the same question. But on the other hand, I also, you know, people have the freedom of association and private property, you know, so if it's their property and they don't want you there, that's fine. But, you know, standing on public property and asking questions about matters of public concern, very recent matters of public concern, should not result in threats of violence against journalists.
No.
So I expect, you know, the city council very quickly will, you know, pass a resolution condemning this, you know, and investigating these threats. You know, what is this now? The third or fourth incident where threats of violence against a journalist. Steve Collins, I'm guessing, has already gone to work on an editorial, you know, defending the rights of journalists to ask questions about public matters of public import.
Well, let's take that right there, as a matter of fact, because that is one person who does not hate John Featherston. In fact, there is an obsession developing with Steve Collins, who is teaching himself how to use AI so that he can produce pictures of John Featherston in action.
I think you can only just. I think you can only describe this as a crash out, what Steve Collins did this morning. It's one of the most bizarre. I still don't know if it's a compliment or an insult. I've been studying it all day, and it's like a perplexing thesis that I think we need like the Harvard board to really dive deep on, because this is like a mental health breakdown combined with AI photos, combined with John Featherston and Steve Collins, all wrapped in one like bizarre Twitter explosion this morning.
This is more upsetting than to me than the Somali violence. I mean, I've got to be totally honest with you.
So is he saying that you're like you're one of the Watergate guys?
Yeah, that's the Democrat National Committee. And then if you scroll down more, Matt, there's you at the signing of the Declaration of Independence that he put in there. And then, of course, the When Rome is Burning one, which is the iconic where you've got a rolling pin or a scroll as a microphone, which I think we should get you a rolling pin as a microphone or a scroll, whatever that would be.
Yeah, but
look at that bravery, by the way. Look at that bravery. Rome is burning, and John Featherston is stoic as ever, right in the middle, getting comments from people.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I don't understand.
Like even as a criticism, I'm mystified and bewildered by Mr. Collins' behavior.
Steve, we have also noticed Steve Collins late night, 11 p.m., looking deep into John's own personal photos on his.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I think.
His wardrobe, who John's wearing, how John looks. So, yeah, feel unsafe, John.
Yeah.
And creeped out for a different reason there. That is, yeah. I don't understand. Like I like everybody on this program right now. There's no time at 11 at night. I'm like, I wonder what Steve looked like at Bowdoin, or I wonder if Graham looked like, during his high school graduation. I wonder if he was a little thinner there. That has not happened. I can assure you, you're safe from that. It's just a little odd. That's all I'm saying.
I think I've known John and Tom. I've known you guys both for 10 years. I don't think I've ever looked at your Facebook page. No offense, but you're right, Tom. This is bizarre behavior from, again, you guys joined the main wire in the main political scene at a time when Steve Collins had fully, transitioned and come out of the closet as a political activist and a political columnist, trying to fill the void left behind by Bill Nimitz, who was a progressive hard lefty, but an intelligent guy and pretty well respected in the state. And so Steve Collins was, before that, he was a reporter. He was trying to play it like as a straight-laced, Associated Press reporter, but every single story he filed was just a hatchet job on conservatives. He was just the most, not even disguised as a left-wing activist pretending to be a journalist. And so for him now to make this full blossoming transition to become obsessed with you, I mean, God, can you bring any more discredit to the Maine Press Association, which in 2023 named this guy Journalist of the Year? I mean, what a thoroughly disgusting and disreputable organization the Maine Press Association is.
He's posted more AI photos of John than he has columns for the Maine Trust for Local News this month so far. And I actually called their office to do a wellness check because I was concerned. I spoke to a lovely lady named Peggy, and then she passed me along to someone named Mark who didn't pick up the phone. But I'm hoping for the best of Steve Collins. He's so entertaining. I hope he doesn't totally go off the rocker and find himself in an institution somewhere. And I did actually totally screw up this shirt because my brain,
you automatically corrected his post.
Yeah. My brain just read it the right way. And I thought it was still a hilarious quote that he said, "I know how to do my job." I thought that was the noteworthy thing in that statement, but I still think it's an excellent shirt.
It is. It's pretty good. Although I could see him, filing a copyright suit. I don't know who owns the rights to that photo, but he might seek the $2 that are made off of people who actually wear a shirt of Steve.
I will donate the revenue.
Naughty Steve Collins. Yeah,
I'll donate that to whatever mental health charity Steve Collins decides. We're happy to give the funds to. But I kind of feel like
Mears,
that photo,
Mears is going to be the donation.
I kind of feel like that photo is
my son wants to date Sophia Khalid date fund,
Yeah. Oh geez, yes.
Yeah, we can buy their dinner for them at a nice Italian restaurant.
There you go. Nice
like
restaurant.
The Trump photo of him holding the fist is like technically copyright, but it's so iconic and it's been shared so many times. I don't think anyone will ever flag a copyright. I feel like it's the same with that Steve Collins devil.
That's true. That's true. I think that's an argument that I believe was part of the argument that Laurel Libby's attorneys made about the podium picture, that it was so iconic that it's not held to the same standard as some other photographs. I would agree.
There's
with
a threshold. There's a threshold, and when you pass
I think we've reached it there, definitely with Mr. Collins. But I'm in your camp, Graham. I'm worried about the guy. There seems to be like a little Twitter speech aphasia going on there, and then the late night scrolling. I think it was entirely appropriate, and in fact, I'm going to say. Beneficent of you, very magnanimous to do a wellness check on him and inquire as to his health. So thank you for that. Shows what a big-hearted guy you are.
If Steve Collins retires and gets up social media, that would be a dark day for the Mainwire social media team. So please, Steve, get better soon. We're rooting for you over here.
He's probably at least a week into an investigation into the Sword of Truth.
Oh, well.
That's right. You know what I love about it? He'll always mention that the Mainwire is illegitimate. We're part of a think tank or whatever. So if that is true, then it should be really easy to go to all the places where you were today, Steve, and where you were today, John, and just debunk our nonsense. It should be
That's
easy.
True.
If we're
That's true.
We don't know journalists. This is a story from Seattle, but I'll tell you why I mention it. Seattle Socialist Mayor Katie Wilson has officially declared war on grocery chains. She claims she will unilaterally ban grocery stores from closing down in her city, saying that food access is a human right that overrides business decisions. The plan is if a private business tries to leave due to theft, taxes, or safety concerns, the government will step in and introduce a bill. This is in Congress, allowing the city to use eminent domain to seize grocery store properties and turn them into government-run shops. So the reason I bring this up is you're seeing more and more of this activism against grocery stores. You see Graham Plattner railing. All the Democratic Socialists, all the socialists have gotten this talking point that these grocery stores are to be taken down or to seize control. I mean, it's like the private property right there. And, make little grocery utopias out of them. Zamdani ran on this as well. And I would be shocked if in some form or another, this doesn't come to Maine. Am I overthinking this?
It already has, Tom. I was just going to say it already has. Earlier this might have been late last year, signs started popping up around Portland targeting Hannaford. Somebody was running a legitimate, I shouldn't say legitimate, but like an attack ad campaign against Hannaford, the popular New England grocery chain. Signs that say "Do better, Hannaford." They're very vague criticisms. And when you looked into this organization, because of course a bunch of people sent me pictures and said, like, who the hell has an axe to grind against the local Shop and Save? And it's an opaque front group, dark money, and it's communists is what it is. At the end of the day, it would be. I think you'd probably get a torturous interference lawsuit if it was like, Market Basket is waging a slime campaign against Hannaford to push in on their territory. But this is just pure communists. They're trying to, make the case that, Hannaford needs to be, I guess you can't say nationalized, but cityfied. They want to turn Hannaford into like one of the bum camps that the city was managing, 2 or 3 years ago. But what was remarkable to me about that was they don't say anything about Whole Foods. Is this are we giving the owner of the Amazon and the Washington Post the break here while going after Hannaford? I don't understand the strategy here, but it's already come to Maine, Tom. This effort to turn the grocery stores into communist paradises. Which another thing that's perplexing to me about it is these are businesses with like 2% margins, 3% margins, and lots of competition. I don't understand why they're a target for the communists unless they are really looking to control the food and the bread to further, push the population into desperation and submission.
Yes, to make the shelves empty, essentially, is what's going to happen. That's what they want. But
again, pick up a history book. Yeah,
didn't Biden start this when he started blaming gas station owners for the price of gas under his energy policies, when he wasn't blaming the Putin price hike?
It's unbelievable.
I don't really understand it either. And that one actually is like one of the only protests that never really caught on. There was a bunch of we weirdly got picked up by some of the TV stations, and like everyone they talked to was like, what the hell is happening here? So like that one kind of fizzled out in Maine. Luckily, the real protest should be over the fact that you can't get plastic bags, and the Hannaford paper bags don't have handles on them. You ever try walking anywhere with a paper bag of groceries that doesn't have handles on it? It's a nightmare. So bring back the plastic bags at the grocery stores. That will solve all the problems.
But Tom, I went out in front of Hannaford's. They have their corporate office in South Portland, in Maine, and it's their corporate office for the entire, New England area. And there were about 3 protesters out there that looked like they were holdovers from a No Kings rally. And I went up to them, and 2 were old ladies and 1 was an old man. And I'm like, "What are you guys protesting?" "Hannaford." "Why?" "Well, they're bad." "Well, what's bad about them?" "I don't know. We were just told to come here. We were just paid to come here." Like that was the protest. So they don't even know what they're protesting. And the question is, who's paying them?
Yeah, protesting has become the retirement job. It's like you retire and then you got to do something with your time. So you just find someone to pay you to stand out there with a sign. Easy money. Like, who wouldn't do that if you're an old lady with nothing else to do all day?
Yeah, and they're not moving to Florida to the villages and selling their houses up here in the north so that their kids can buy them. No. They are staying put and raising hell. The thing is, though, Graham, is that like this is an easy entree to socialism, because that's why so many young people love it, because it's dumb. It's for dumb people. But there you go. You go to the grocery store. You say somebody's getting rich here. And and this couscous now costs $2.89 when it should be pretty much free, and that's all you need to hear.
Well, I have an easy solution for the socialists. They can buy a farm, and we'll host their merch directly, farm to table, or their produce directly at mainwiremerch.com. You can put your beef on Mainwire merch. Jeez, can't talk, but I'm so excited about the prospect of this genius business idea to help the socialists out. Direct farm to table. We'll take a small cut, mainwiremerch.com. So any socialist out there who's protesting Hannaford, feel free to shoot me an email.
Also, to your point, Graham, if there's just millions and millions of dollars to be made price gouging at grocery stores, why don't you take the money you're spending on this anti-Hannaford campaign and open up a grocery store? Open up a grocery store and then sell, take away the price gouging, maybe lower prices by 50%. It seems like you're going to corner the market. But again, the deliberateness and the nationwide instantaneous aspect of this campaign against grocery stores, it's moving up the list of priorities for us to investigate as a news organization. I kind of want to get into this and figure out what the money is behind this.
Yeah, well, I mean, Plattner hits every stop. He talks about this, and the oligarchs and the trillionaires, and then. But yeah, he wants there to be legit baskets all over the place. And I wouldn't be shocked if soon that's what they are, and they all suck.
It'll be Plattner baskets. They'll all be just about as real as his oyster business. It'll be Graham Plattner's oyster business is like the storefronts in North Korea from that Seth Rogen movie. It's like nice. You got a website, but there's no real oyster meat in there. That's the way the grocery stores will look in the Graham Plattner's communist utopia.
All right, Graham Pollard, what is the update here? It's March 24th. We're going to be in Bangor. This event is getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, good debate last night at Dune Grass. I thought it was long, 2.5 hours. John was there the whole time. Pretty good talk on economics for most of the candidates. I thought the real highlight in terms of excitement was John actually posted the video and we reshared it. It was kind of the candidates were able to ask each other a question, and David Jones and Garrett Mason were going at it. It got pretty feisty for like 2 minutes, but kind of good-natured feisty, but it was pretty entertaining back and forth. But we expect that animosity and that anger to continue and to boil over into March 24th for the debate, a clash in the Queen City, which is really the big one. I mean, Common Sense for Men did a great job, but we're going to blow it out of the water at the debate, clash in the Queen City. So we're about 2 weeks away, and the build-ups are really going to start in full here. And we expect it to be a pretty intense environment and pretty fun debate. Really, I think will be really helpful to all the voters to kind of see the candidates as in the cauldron of intensity that a gubernatorial position would require.
Graham, 100 people asked me about the sword last night. Candidates and people who just came to see the debate. Everybody wants to see the sword. So
everybody wants to see the sword. I think we might just need to come to a compromise where we have it on stage for display, even if we're not giving it to a candidate, because the sword is taking over Maine by storm. And also, I've got a bunch of memes with the sword coming up that I'm working on. I'm doing a sword photo shoot in my bedroom right now. I've got an American flag set up. So there's more sword content coming soon. Don't worry about that.
Can we put it in case, like you do your autograph footballs and stuff like that?
That was the plan. That was the plan. It was going to be right in the middle of the stage and right in front of all the candidates. So it would be Steve here, the sword here, and the candidates right behind it in kind of a semicircle. It would have been a masterpiece in set design. But
the public wants the sword, Graham.
Everybody wants the sword. I know.
The public wants the sword.
Well, my camera keeps overheating, but my microphone works. So I'm just going to say, if you could figure out a way to get that sword on a plane or up to Maine. I don't know if we want to risk, shipping an item so valuable with the United States Postal Service.
No, it's coming with me. It's coming with me. I'm not trusting that.
But I think it may need to at least make an appearance in Bangor at this point. But I do have to say, in addition to the Sword of Truth not going to any of the candidates, being kept with us, the Cross Center says no pyrotechnics either. So your plan, Graham, to have a pyrotechnic display denied.
Oh, I actually no, I was anti-pyrotechnics. This is not a Charlie Kirk's funeral. This is not a Turning Point rally. But I do appreciate the pageantry of some of the other things that we have planned. So while there's no pyrotechnics, it's not going to be. There's going to be some excitement. I'll just leave it at that. We got to keep some things as a surprise until day of. But I think people are going to like the showmanship and the pageantry at this debate. It's definitely going to be unique and different from any other debate that you've seen.
All right. Well, we're all looking forward to it. It is March 24th. All right. For Steve Robinson, John Featherston, Graham Pollard, my name is Tom Shattuck. We'll see you tomorrow at 4 right here on Mainwire TV.